New Year's Eve should have been a day of hope, a time when new beginnings start to sprout. But instead, I was released from prison today. In the cold, snowy weather, I waited for a long time, but no one came to take me home. Eventually, I comforted myself and walked home with a light heart, only to see my fiancée embracing another man. The sight hit me like a bucket of ice water, extinguishing the little hope I had left. I was completely unprepared to be thrown onto this stage of pain. Ethan Walker is being released from prison today. Aren't you going to pick him up? Vanessa Brooks gave a faint smile. Is picking him up more important than being with you? He's been locked up for so many years, another day won't matter. Aren't you afraid he'll be angry? Colder than the snow and wind outside were Vanessa Brooks's heartless words. He brought this upon himself. What right does he have to be angry? The fact that I still want him is already a kindness to him. After saying that, she raised her face and looked me straight in the eyes. Her smile froze, and her icy gaze pierced through me. My heart, too, began to freeze. She still wanted me, but I no longer wanted her. Time stood still. Vanessa Brooks was the first to snap back. She walked up to me and gently stabbed me in the heart. Why didn't you wait for me to pick you up? No need. I remember the way home. I lied. I had waited for her in the snow outside the prison gates for a long time. Until even the prison guard couldn't take it anymore and helped me call a cab. Looking past Vanessa Brooks, my gaze landed on the man behind her. Ryan Walker, dressed in a dark gray suit, lounged lazily on the sofa, clearly feeling smug. When our eyes met, he quickly masked the hatred in his eyes and gave me a polite smile. You're out, Mr. Walker. Just in time for the new year, how nice. He stood up and wrapped his arm around Vanessa Brooks's slim waist, a clear look of provocation in his eyes. I gave a strained smile. Vanessa Brooks held on to Ryan Walker with one hand and pulled me into the group with the other. Ryan Walker exchanged a glance with his friend, who immediately caught on and looked at me mockingly. So this is Mr. Walker? Haven't seen you in years, and you've aged a lot. I thought you were a homeless guy outside. Shrill laughter erupted. Ryan Walker covered his mouth and coughed lightly, patting his friend. He's a bit tactless, don't mind him, Mr. Walker. The mocking laughter drowned out the background music from the projector. My hands clenched tightly in the confusion and humiliation. When I didn't respond for a while, Vanessa Brooks pushed me irritably. They're just joking, don't ruin the fun. Her words were like sharp claws, tearing at my heart. Others might joke, but not her. She was supposed to be the one who understood me best, the one who stood by me the most. But now, my pain had become a joke she could mock freely. I changed the subject. Where's my mother? A flash of guilt passed through Vanessa Brooks's eyes. She prefers peace and quiet, so she's not here. I'll take you to see her another day. I nodded. Seeing I was underdressed, she went to the bedroom to get me a coat. Not wanting to be alone with Ryan Walker and the others, I made an excuse to go to the bathroom. Just as I was about to wash my face, a voice came from behind me. Number 9527. Out of instinct, I immediately turned around and stood at attention. It was Ryan Walker, covering his mouth as he burst out laughing, a disgusting, piercing laugh. Tears streamed down my cheeks. I stared at him coldly. Is that funny? He stopped laughing, his eyes full of contempt and mockery. It's hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. I thought this New Year's Eve was going to be boring until a clown like you showed up. Prison didn't break you, huh? You came out in such a hurry just to go after Vanessa Brooks? A useless ex-con like you, not even worth a stray dog on the street, dares to compete with me for her? You're even more shameless than your mother. Hearing him bring up my mother, rage surged inside me. I grabbed his collar and glared at him like a wolf. Watch your mouth. Due to the force, Ryan Walker was forced to look up at me. The mocking smile never left his face, and he kept laughing. We haven't seen each other in years, and you've gotten so hot-tempered. What, didn't you like that special care I arranged for you in prison? My heart skipped a beat. My eyes accidentally landed on the ring hanging on his chest. I recognized that ring. It was the wedding ring meant for me and Vanessa Brooks. When he saw me staring at it, the smugness in his eyes deepened. Vanessa Brooks is mine. Even your father is mine. If you keep acting like you want to die, I won't hesitate to throw you back in prison. Before he could finish, I didn't hesitate, I punched him hard. The sound of my fist hitting flesh was heavy and dull. Ryan Walker suddenly screamed and tore the necklace from his neck, throwing the ring to the ground. Ethan Walker. The urgent clatter of high heels echoed. Vanessa Brooks suddenly appeared and slapped me hard. What the hell are you doing? She stood in front of Ryan Walker, blocking the next punch I was about to throw, then shoved me with all her strength. I'm sorry, I forgot to take off the necklace. That's what made Ethan Walker angry, Ryan Walker said as he leaned into her arms, playing the victim. Her heart ached for him. I wanted to explain, but Vanessa Brooks cut me off, furious. Stop pretending, Ethan Walker. It's disgusting. Do you think I don't know what kind of person you are? Apologize to Ryan right now. Or go back to wherever you came from. No matter how much my body ached, it couldn't compare to the pain in my heart. Forget it, Vanessa Brooks, I said. Everyone worked hard to gather and celebrate the new year. Don't ruin it because of me. She looked at me with disgust, her eyes burning with anger. If your character was even half as decent as Ryan's, you wouldn't have ended up in prison in the first place. The woman who once loved me as if her life depended on it. Now she was the one holding a knife, stabbing me over and over again. She gently helped Ryan Walker up, while the ring, our ring, was carelessly crushed under her heel. I had 1,000 words stuck in my throat but couldn't utter a single one. Think it through while you're here, she said. Once you've calmed down, go apologize to Ryan. As she left, Ryan Walker glanced back at me with a smirk. The bathroom door slammed shut, and a deep sourness welled up in my chest. I crouched down and picked up the diamond ring. It didn't seem to shine like it used to. The sounds of celebration echoed from the living room, but all I felt was an increasing heaviness in my head and an unsettling heat in my body. I didn't know when, but I leaned against the cold wall and drifted into sleep. In my dream, Vanessa Brooks gently held me, whispering that she believed in me, that she would only love me for the rest of her life. But then the scene changed. She was clinging to Ryan Walker, calling me number 9527. I woke up in fear, sitting up abruptly, forehead drenched in cold sweat. The room felt familiar, yet distant. It was my old bedroom. A framed photo of me and Vanessa Brooks still sat on the bedside table. Ethan, you're awake? Her voice came from beside me. She was sitting next to the bed, eyes full of false tenderness. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to miss picking you up yesterday. I just didn't expect you to be released early. Hearing her made-up excuse, I pressed my lips together tightly. I couldn't even muster a fake smile. Then she looked at the ring and smiled slightly. That ring? I lost a bet and lent it to Ryan. Besides, that ring is outdated, it doesn't suit you anymore. When we get married later, I'll get you a better one. That ring, I had designed it myself for us. How could it be outdated? It wasn't the ring that was outdated. It was her love for me. My heart trembled slightly, and I told myself I was being too sensitive. But then her next words felt like a bucket of ice water dumped on me. You're fine now, right? Then come with me and apologize to Ryan. I froze, thinking I must have misheard. What did you say? She calmly repeated herself. Grievance surged up in my chest. My voice trembled. Why should I apologize to him? Do you even know what he called me yesterday? She rubbed her temples, looking annoyed, as if I was the unreasonable one. Whatever he called you, it's no excuse for you to hit him. I clenched my fists so tight my voice came out hoarse. He called me 9527. She looked at me blankly. Aren't you number 9527? In that moment, not only my body, but my heart, froze completely. I looked at her in despair, unable to believe what I was hearing. My eyes stung with the bitterness I could no longer hold back. Seeing my eyes red, Vanessa Brooks completely lost her patience. Her brows furrowed tightly. Ethan, stop acting. Ryan got punched by you and didn't cry. What are you crying for? Her harsh scolding ignited my grievance into full-blown rage. I furiously threw the photo frame beside me to the ground, the glass shattered instantly. Ethan Walker. Vanessa Brooks suddenly stood up and faced me. Whatever softness was once in her eyes had now been replaced by deep disgust. Do you know the biggest difference between humans and beasts? Humans can control their temper. Beasts can't. I stood frozen, unable to believe what I was hearing. The very lips that once spoke gentle words of love to me were now hurling the cruelest insults. Silence fell like death in the room. After a moment, Vanessa Brooks coldly said, "If you still want me to marry you, go apologize to Ryan." She slammed the door and left. She still wants to marry me, but I no longer want to marry her. With the bang of the closing door, it was as if all the strength drained from my body. I slumped back against the headboard. Even without a mirror, I could imagine how I looked, eyes bloodshot, like a wounded wolf dragging its tired body. I stumbled into the bathroom to clean myself up. On my skin, fresh bruises overlapped old wounds. No one but Ryan Walker knew what those 3 years in prison were like for me. Back when the corporation was about to go public, confidential company documents suddenly fell into the hands of competitors. As the company's legal advisor, Ryan Walker claimed it was me who leaked the files. Even my own fiancée stood firmly on his side. But I had seen him with my own eyes going in and out of my office. Unfortunately, the surveillance footage from that time mysteriously disappeared. And so the blame fell on me. Unwilling to accept it, I tried to recover old data from my laptop. Hoping to find some clue from that period, but I found nothing. Confused and lost, I wandered the streets aimlessly. Before I realized it, I'd arrived at the old house where my mother and I used to live. Because of my father's affair, my mother had always been emotionally unstable. When I was imprisoned, I lied to her, saying I went abroad to study. Even so, the shock was too much for her. I had always felt guilty, so I never dared to visit her. I hesitated at the doorstep for a long time before finally mustering the courage to knock. But no one answered. Only when the neighbor aunt opened her door did I find out, my mother had passed away long ago. All she left me was a doll. I shook my head over and over, refusing to believe it. I stood in the falling snow for what felt like forever, unable to convince myself that this was real. Carrying my heartbreak, I called Vanessa Brooks, desperately wanting to confront her. "Why did you hide this from me?" But she kept rejecting my calls. Eventually, she sent me a message, "Busy. If you haven't figured out that you should apologize to Ryan, stop calling me." Soon after, Ryan Walker updated his social media. In the photo, he and Vanessa Brooks were kissing behind a poker card, eyes filled with happiness. New Year's lucky number, 9527. Below the post, he even helpfully tagged the full address of the technician. My heart pounded wildly. The anger inside me roared like a beast ready to devour me whole. I rushed to the private room where Vanessa Brooks was chatting with her close friends. "Vanessa, how are you so sure Ethan will apologize to Ryan?" one of them asked. Vanessa Brooks gently swirled her wine glass, confidence in every word. "Because he wants to marry me. But I never said I would marry him." "Huh, I told you." A man who's been to prison doesn't deserve someone like Vanessa Brooks. Rage boiled over. Just as I was about to push open the door, a voice suddenly came from behind. 9527, long time no see. Ryan Walker stood there, arms crossed, looking me up and down with disdain. You must be desperate to marry a woman if you're that eager to apologize to me. I stared at him without expression. You're right. I should apologize. He smirked, the bruise on his cheek clearly visible. I let out a cold laugh and looked him dead in the eyes. You really should apologize. To me. He didn't care at all, his grin widened even more. Now that, I don't understand. Why would I apologize to you? I had no time for his games. You stole my account credentials and leaked the documents, didn't you? Does it matter who did it? He replied lazily. What matters is, Vanessa believes me. And that only proves one thing, I said through clenched teeth. That you're a damn good actor. He burst out laughing, his eyes full of scorn. He clearly had no intention of continuing this charade with me. I turned around, ready to push the door open, but he suddenly grabbed my arm. While I was still confused, he looked around, made sure no one was there, then leaned in and lowered his voice. Is it really my acting that's good, or is Vanessa Brooks just biased toward me? You know very well, I stole the data. But did I delete the surveillance footage too? I didn't have that kind of access. It felt like a thunderclap exploded in my mind. My whole body trembled. Ryan Walker might have guessed my work computer password to steal the data, but the surveillance video? That was stored only on my personal computer. And only Vanessa Brooks had the authority to access the company's surveillance system. I hate it when people steal what's mine, he sneered. If you still don't know your place, I don't mind sending you back to prison again. Then he added, with a twisted grin. You didn't know, did you? Your mother passed away, on New Year's Eve last year. Too bad Vanessa Brooks was busy entertaining me and couldn't be bothered to care about that old woman. You have no idea how pitiful she was. He burst into laughter as if he had just told the funniest joke in the world. Looking at his disgusting face, I couldn't hold back any longer. I raised my fist. This time, Ryan Walker was smarter. He suddenly flung the door open and fell to the ground, yelling for help. Vanessa Brooks jumped up from the sofa and rushed over with a waiter to pull me off him. This is your idea of an apology? Ryan Walker curled up behind her, faking pain. Vanessa, Ethan Walker's gone crazy. I greeted him nicely, and he just attacked me out of nowhere. Vanessa Brooks believed him without hesitation, her eyes filled with nothing but disgust as she looked at me. If you don't want to apologize, then get out of here. Don't embarrass yourself throwing a tantrum. She shoved me, making me stagger. I couldn't stop myself from raising my hand. I stared at her, disappointed. My mother passed away. Why didn't you tell me? A trace of guilt flashed across her face, but it was quickly replaced by cold indifference. Would telling you have brought her back? My heart felt like it had been torn in two, the pain cutting deep into my bones. After a moment, she withdrew her hand and softened her tone. If you have time to dwell on what can't be changed, why not just apologize to Ryan already? I'll still keep my word and marry you. Marry me? I murmured. In the stunned silence that followed, I landed a punch squarely on Ryan Walker's face as he smirked behind her. Ethan Walker, are you insane? Vanessa Brooks was momentarily frozen, then quickly stepped forward to shield Ryan Walker, her expression filled with fury and hatred, as if she wished she could tear me apart. I withdrew my fist and pulled out the engagement ring from my pocket, hurling it at her face. Marry me? Did I say I'd still marry you? Ethan Walker, she roared, but I didn't look back. Dragging my numb body, I turned and walked away. If you walk out that door today, don't come back and regret it. Don't be mad, Vanessa, one of her friends tried to calm her. Men who've been to prison are always looked down upon. Keep him around for a couple more days, he'll come crawling back to apologize. The shouting faded behind me, along with the murmurs and whispers of everyone else. I walked as if deaf, stumbling down the street. It was the first day of the new year. The streets were busy and lively, yet I felt utterly alone. Following the address given by the neighbor, I arrived at the cemetery. My mother lay silently beneath the snow. Her photo on the gravestone still looked so gentle, so warm. I gently brushed the snow from the yellow chrysanthemums. Hot tears streamed down my hand. I had imagined countless times how it would be when I saw my mother again after getting out, maybe even at my wedding with Vanessa Brooks. I imagined her smiling brightly, welcoming the happiness she thought I'd finally found. But now, that dream was shattered, reduced to sharp shards cutting into my soul. I collapsed to my knees, crying so hard I couldn't breathe. I hadn't done anything wrong. Yet I was the one left with all the suffering. And those who hurt me were living freely, happily. For the first time, I felt hatred growing deep in my heart. With the crunch of snow underfoot, a familiar voice rang out behind me. 9527, long time no see. By the time I returned to the home I once shared with Vanessa Brooks, it was already late. But it no longer felt like mine. Things that didn't belong to us filled the house. On the living room wall hung a photo of her and Ryan Walker together. I stared at it for a long time, then smashed it into pieces. And while I was at it, I destroyed the furniture we'd picked out together. Once I'd let out all the rage, I packed up my things. Most of what belonged to me had already been put away by Vanessa Brooks. I didn't take much, just the laptop I used to work on, and a few important documents. As I casually picked up the photo that had fallen on the bedroom floor, I noticed a few curly hairs on the bed where I'd slept the night before. A wave of nausea suddenly rose in my stomach. And that was when I realized, the photo album I always kept in the cabinet was missing. That album didn't just hold memories of me and Vanessa Brooks, it contained more, precious memories of me and my mother from my childhood. In a panic, I tore the room apart searching for it, but found nothing. From the doorway came the sound of the doorknob turning. Vanessa Brooks stormed in, her face still flushed with anger. "Ethan Walker, haven't you done enough? Ever since you got out of prison, you haven't stopped stirring things up. What exactly do you want?" At that moment, I found the album in a discarded cardboard box. Someone had scratched out and blackened the faces of me and my mother. Only Vanessa Brooks's face remained untouched and clean. I held up the album, barely holding back my rage as I confronted her. She frowned and explained. "A while ago Ryan had too much to drink. He fell asleep in your room and accidentally damaged it. I was planning to have someone remake it for you in a few days. Accidentally." At that moment, it felt like all the strength had drained from my body. I didn't want to argue anymore, I didn't even have the energy to. I carefully packed the album into my suitcase. As I walked past her, Vanessa Brooks grabbed my arm. "Where are you going?" A flicker of unease flashed across her eyes, too quick to notice unless you looked closely. I didn't answer and tried to shake her off, but she gripped tighter. She bit her lip, and with forced calmness, said, "About today. If you just apologize, I can consider forgiving you." A cold laugh escaped my throat. I pulled my arm free with force and spoke lightly, mockingly, "No need. If I stay here, what happens to your pure, untouchable love? Share a bed with her again?" Vanessa Brooks's expression turned grim. "Ethan, if you're sick, go to the hospital. Ryan is at least your younger brother, stop slandering him every time you open your mouth." Her words were light, almost casual, but they hit like a 1,000-pound stone. I couldn't breathe under the weight of them. My knuckles cracked as I clenched my fists, my eyes locked on hers. An illegitimate child like him is unworthy of being my brother. She froze in shock. Only after I had left the bedroom did her angry voice ring out from behind me. "Ethan Walker, don't forget, you're an ex-convict. Without me, where do you think you can go?" I didn't respond. I found a cheap hotel to stay at. My cards had been frozen by Vanessa Brooks, and I didn't have much cash on me. Because of my criminal record, I couldn't find a job. Some companies even rejected me outright upon hearing my name. I'd been in the corporate world for years. Of course I knew this was Vanessa Brooks's doing. She wanted to force me to bow my head. But I had bowed my head enough for her over the years. She used to say she loved me, yet she always sided with Ryan Walker. She promised to accompany me for my mother's birthday, only to turn around and attend a family dinner with him instead. She knew full well, my family had been ruined by Ryan Walker and his mother. My mother had been driven to madness because of them. Yet she kept choosing him, again and again. Even our wedding, already set in stone, could be called off by one casual sentence from her: "Ryan isn't feeling well." So this time, I didn't bow my head anymore. We stopped contacting each other, but her social media updates became more frequent. Under the luxury lights, she and Ryan Walker posed intimately, though her eyes always, subconsciously, glanced toward the camera. Ryan Walker often brought those photos to mock me. "You spent 10 years and still couldn't marry Vanessa." Me? I only had to say a few words, and she agreed to marry me. I only chuckled in response. Until one day, Vanessa Brooks, drunk, tearfully questioned me, "Why didn't you contact me? Why didn't you just apologize?" "Ethan, if you just apologize, we can go back to how things were. You can come back to the company, no one will dare bring up your time in prison." I seriously thought about it for a while. Ever since I got out of prison, besides Vanessa Brooks and Ryan Walker's group, no one had brought up my time behind bars. Well, I almost forgot, there was one more person. I stayed silent on the other end of the phone. Vanessa Brooks completely lost her patience and threatened me over the call: "Tomorrow is my birthday. If you don't come, I won't hesitate to marry Ryan Walker." She hung up immediately after saying that, not giving me a chance to reply. Vanessa Brooks once said she would get married at 30. Back then, I wasn't happy hearing that and told her, "But I don't want you to have to wait until you're 30. Her thin lips curled into a soft smile. The night breeze brushed her cheeks with a pink hue, and as I snapped my fingers, fireworks burst across the night sky. Romantic music played in the background, and the view was filled with blooming white azaleas. I took out the ring I cherished like a treasure, knelt on one knee, eyes full of love and devotion. "Vanessa Brooks, will you marry me? Not someday, not when you turn 30, right now." She slowly reached out her hand, her eyes overflowing with tenderness. "I will. Vanessa Brooks will only ever marry Ethan Walker," she had vowed. That passionate promise still echoed in my ears, yet the girl who made that vow was nowhere to be found. I nearly forgot I was already 32. The atmosphere in the large room was heavy. Vanessa Brooks sat coldly on the sofa, her pale fingers tapping the armrest absent-mindedly. Emily Watson spoke up to ease the tension. "Cheer up, it's your birthday today, Vanessa. Everyone knows Ethan Walker loves you most. He knows it's your birthday, he'll definitely come." "That's right," someone chimed in. "I think he's just trying to play hard to get with you. He's probably anxious right now, pacing around like an ant on a hot pan." Exactly. He's an ex-convict, only someone as tolerant as you would still accept him. Everyone chimed in with their flattering comments. But suddenly, Vanessa Brooks slammed her wine glass on the table. The room fell silent. "Are you done yet? Who told you I'm waiting for him? The person I'm waiting for today is Ryan Walker." At that moment, Ryan Walker entered, wearing a black suit and holding a bouquet of red roses. Escorted by the waitstaff, he brought the energy back into the quiet room. Vanessa Brooks stood frozen until Ryan Walker knelt down on one knee and softly called out, "Vanessa Brooks, will you marry me?" She seemed to snap out of her daze and slowly reached out her hand. But just at the last moment, she pulled it back. "Ryan. I'm sorry. There's already a ring on this hand." At that moment, I opened the door and stepped inside. Her eyes immediately locked onto me, growing clearer by the second. I was wearing the suit she had custom-made for me, holding a bouquet of her favorite azaleas. "Does your promise to marry me still hold value?" As I spoke, Vanessa Brooks walked toward me. Though she tried to hide it, the joy in her eyes was unmistakable. Under the dim light, Ryan Walker stood there, face twisted with rage as he stared at me, chest heaving from anger. Vanessa Brooks looked at me with deep affection. "Of course it still holds. I told you, as long as you come back, I'll marry you." I gave a faint smile. "But I didn't bring a ring." "It's okay. I have one." She pulled out the ring I once threw away and put it on my finger herself. Ryan Walker walked up, barely concealing his jealousy. "Ethan Walker, you're here. Is your hand still hurt?" He was deliberately bringing up old wounds, but this time, I didn't have to respond. Vanessa Brooks cut him off. "Enough. What's the point of constantly bringing up the past?" Ryan Walker froze. But this time, Vanessa Brooks completely ignored his wounded expression. He always thought he was the moonlight in her life, but he didn't understand. Moonlight only shines when you can't reach it. Once you have it, it becomes something clingy and unwanted. The wedding between me and Vanessa Brooks was set for the full moon night. She seemed even more eager than I was, never leaving my side as the day approached. She quit her job, and even when Ryan Walker pretended to be depressed and threatened self-harm, she acted like she didn't see it. Later on, strangely, Ryan Walker went quiet. No more drama, no more outbursts. Occasionally, he'd just send me a couple of photos of him and Vanessa Brooks together, clearly trying to provoke me. "While you were in prison for 3 years, I traveled the world with her," he wrote. "We even went to the Sea of Love to make our wishes." I gave a faint smile. "Thanks, little brother, for taking care of my wife." Ryan Walker's call came quickly, but I hung up on him. "Ethan Walker. What kind of man are you? If you've got the guts, face me head on. Don't act like some old woman, always stabbing people in the back." I coldly ended the call and clenched my fists. On the day of the wedding, while I was backstage, Vanessa Brooks kept checking on me, obviously uneasy. She noticed I was still in my everyday clothes and looked suspicious. "Why haven't you changed into the suit I had tailored for you?" I looked down at myself and smiled awkwardly. It was just steamed. I was about to change. Her suspicion deepened, but before she could ask more, the bridesmaids urged her away. At the wedding venue, Vanessa Brooks tightly gripped the bouquet, her fingertips turning pale from the pressure. Then the groom appeared, but it wasn't me. It was Ryan Walker, wearing the boutonniere meant for the groom. The bouquet slipped from her hands and fell onto the red carpet. She shoved Ryan Walker away and called my name in desperation. Ryan Walker, confused, grabbed her wrist. "Vanessa, it's our wedding today. Where are you going?" Just then, the warm VCR playing behind the stage changed. The guests watched in shock as the screen displayed footage of Ryan Walker sneaking into my office, secretly copying company documents. There was even a sharp audio clip where he and his mother were mocking and provoking my mother. He admitted to deliberately leaking information to frame me and even confessed to bribing the prison gang to make my life hell inside. Ryan Walker's face turned pale. Fear flooded his eyes. The final clip exposed how he had used his company position over the years to secretly sell confidential documents from the corporation. Vanessa Brooks's eyes burned with fury as she stared at Ryan Walker shaking his head in denial. The sound of camera shutters filled the room. She glared at him with hatred in her eyes. So it really was you. Ryan Walker tried to explain, voice trembling. Vanessa, let me explain. Just then, she spotted me in the crowd. In that instant, she yanked her hand away from him and tried to run toward me, but Ryan Walker pulled her back. Vanessa, you can't leave. Today is our wedding. You promised to marry me. Vanessa Brooks angrily wrenched free from his grip. Get lost. When did I ever say I'd marry you? You were just a plaything to me when I was bored, and you actually thought I'd marry you? Hearing that, Ryan Walker panicked and fumbled for his phone, glancing over at me. He froze. I think he understood. The one who had messaged him using Vanessa Brooks's phone was me. I sent those texts, I said. Today's wedding was always meant for him. Vanessa Brooks never planned to marry me. Ryan Walker believed it. But I wasn't lying either. On Vanessa Brooks's birthday, while pretending to nap on the sofa, I overheard her conversation with Emily Watson. Vanessa, didn't you always like Ryan Walker? Why the sudden decision to marry Ethan Walker? She laughed mockingly. A reformed convict dares throw a tantrum at me? I was just messing with him, breaking his pride a little. I wanted to see what a wedding without a bride would look like. After saying that, she gently rested her hand beside mine. A hot tear dropped onto the back of her hand. I clearly felt her tremble. She didn't want to marry me. I didn't want to marry her. But she regretted it, and I gave her the chance to choose the groom she really wanted. A double celebration. At least for me, it was enough. Ethan Walker, she called out behind me, but I didn't look back. Ryan Walker still refused to give up, but the police arrived and cuffed him, like a wolf being slammed to the ground. Ethan Walker, Vanessa Brooks caught up to me, breathless. Her voice trembled. Why? I smiled faintly. Why what? She grabbed my wrist, her eyes full of confusion. Today was supposed to be our wedding. Why did you ruin it? Because you didn't want to marry me. And I didn't want to marry you either. Then why didn't you tell me earlier? Why treat me like this? Her questions came at me like a crashing tide. But I didn't understand. She was the one who didn't want to marry me. I gently pulled my wrist away from her grasp, looked down at my plain clothes, and said nothing. Vanessa Brooks suddenly fell into a daze, her earlier rage completely gone. Back when we were most in love. It was also the first time because of Ryan Walker that she postponed our wedding. I didn't know it back then. She told me it was because of work, but in truth, she had gone to watch the Northern Lights with Ryan Walker. When she saw how upset I was, she buried her head into my neck and acted coy. Ethan Walker, it's my fault. Work's been crazy this year. Next year, we'll definitely have our wedding, okay? I gave in and forgave her. Half jokingly, I said, if this ever happens again, I'll wear casual clothes on our wedding day, hide in the crowd, and make sure you never find me. She laughed, then fastened an expensive limited edition watch onto my wrist, one that was sold at auction for a sky-high price. She kissed me gently on the lips. That day will never come. Back then, she was 23. Now she's 32. She postponed our wedding 4 times. Ethan Walker, I'm sorry. But this time is the last. I really want to marry you. Can we start over? I shook my head and chuckled lightly. I have a girlfriend now. How do you expect to marry me? Her expression froze in disbelief. Then, suddenly, she laughed mockingly, her tone full of disdain. No way. Ethan Walker, you don't need to lie to me just to get revenge. 9527. Where are you? Why are you so slow? A gentle female voice called out from behind. I stepped forward and linked arms with Sophia Miller. I smiled at Vanessa Brooks. My girlfriend. Sophia Miller. Sophia Miller gave Vanessa Brooks a polite nod. Vanessa Brooks stood there frozen, her face twisted in hurt. Like an eggplant that had just been beaten with a bone. I didn't bother with her anymore. I walked away with Sophia Miller on my arm. If anyone called me 9527 and I didn't get angry, it would only be Sophia Miller. In prison, when I was being bullied by the prison gang, she saw it through the bars that separated the male and female wings. Later, during a joint activity, she reported them. Even though it meant offending people, she didn't hesitate. She not only helped apply medicine for me but also constantly encouraged me not to give up. In the darkest 3 years of my life, she was the ray of light that pierced through the gloom. After she was released, she often came to visit. She helped me gather evidence about the leaked secrets. The day at the cemetery, she found me and gave me the collected proof. Together, we restored deleted surveillance footage and recovered lost data. As thanks, I invited her to dinner. After we parted ways, I returned to the old house my mother left behind. And there she was. Vanessa Brooks. She reached out as if to touch me, but I took a step back. I looked at her coldly. Today's your wedding. Why aren't you with your groom? What are you doing here looking for me? Ethan Walker. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you all these years. Please forgive me, just once more. Can we start over? Forgive her one more time? I had already forgiven her more than once. Vanessa Brooks, I already have a girlfriend. Please stop bothering me. Hearing that, she suddenly grabbed my hand, her voice desperate. I investigated her already. She's not even your girlfriend, just a woman with a criminal record. Her eyes welled up with tears. And when you walk arm in arm with her, your palm is empty. But when you held me, your fingers interlaced with mine. That proves, you don't love her at all. Vanessa Brooks was right. But that didn't matter anymore. I yanked my hand from hers, my gaze ice cold. So what? Sophia Miller may not be my girlfriend, but when I was at my lowest, she helped me again and again. And what about you? My official girlfriend. My fiancée. You lived a luxurious life, traveling with Ryan Walker. Even when I hoped, longed, for the day I'd be released to see you again. You were too busy celebrating New Year's with Ryan Walker to come pick me up. Sophia Miller is not a criminal. And if she likes me, I'd be happy to call her my girlfriend. Under my forceful questioning, Vanessa Brooks was speechless, her eyes blank as she stood frozen in place. Ethan Walker apologized, thinking I was the one who had revealed the fruits of her hard work. Her resentment toward me had been a mistake, and she admitted it was her fault. But now that the truth had come to light, she wanted to start over. Can we start again? She asked. Looking at the woman before me, I felt only sorrow, no longer the love I once had for her. Vanessa Brooks, you and Ryan Walker truly are a match made in heaven, you both love putting on a show, I said coldly. If you didn't know the truth, then why did you help Ryan Walker erase the surveillance footage? Vanessa Brooks hastily denied it, shaking her head repeatedly. No, Ethan Walker, it's not what you think. Back then, Ryan Walker told me he had filled out a contract incorrectly and was afraid you would use it as an excuse to take revenge. You know how he's been since his parents' car accident, he's had depression. I was afraid something would happen to him. She was afraid something would happen to him, so she let me take the fall. Maybe she had known from the beginning that I wasn't the one responsible, but she chose to remain silent. Just because I was strong, not depressed, I scoffed inwardly. I stepped closer, my gaze cold and intimidating. Perhaps realizing how painful my next words would be, she avoided my eyes. Vanessa Brooks, do you know the biggest difference between a human and a beast? I asked. She looked confused. I enunciated each word slowly. A human who acts and lies is sometimes worse than a beast. After I went inside, Vanessa Brooks didn't leave. She stood there like a lifeless puppet, pale and dazed. I looked at her through the windowpane. It felt like returning to New Year's Eve, when I stood alone in the freezing snow while she sat comfortably inside, watching me with contempt and indifference. Ignoring her wounded gaze, I drew the curtains closed. From that day forward, she waited outside my house every day. I didn't know who she was waiting for, perhaps the pure moonlight in her heart. Ryan Walker was convicted of multiple charges and sentenced to 15 years in prison. During that time, he kept asking to see Vanessa Brooks, but she loathed the idea. Just one meeting exhausted her. After the wedding scandal, the corporation underwent a massive restructuring. As chairwoman, Vanessa Brooks's competence came under scrutiny. Some major shareholders moved to strip her of power, but she didn't care. She spent her days drunk, and her nights watching from outside my window. Emily Watson couldn't bear it anymore and awkwardly tried to plead on her behalf. "Ethan Walker, can't you give her another chance? She's risking her life out there for you. You once loved her so deeply, how can you stand to see her in so much pain?" I merely smiled faintly. Once, I couldn't bear it. But now, I felt no pity, no love left for her. A man with a criminal record, how could I ever deserve her? But in truth, once the truth was revealed, I had my record expunged. After settling everything, I sold the old house and prepared to leave this place. Ryan Walker tried to contact me through others, saying he wanted to meet. I refused. He wanted to see me, but I didn't want to see him. Outside the window, the snow was full of snowmen, big and small, lined up as if awaiting a grand wedding. With hands purple from the cold, Vanessa Brooks drew a smile on one of the snowmen, then turned to smile at me. She still looked the same, though wearier. I opened the door. She rushed into my arms, her icy body sending a chill through me. "Ethan, I'm sorry. I was wrong. Please forgive me one more time." I gently pushed her away, staring into her tear-filled eyes, and held the wedding ring before her. "Last time I forgave you, I picked up this ring from the bathroom floor. Today, if you can pick it up again, I'll forgive you." Then, while she wasn't looking, I hurled the ring with all my strength. It disappeared into the vast snow, like finding a needle in a haystack. But Vanessa Brooks didn't care. Her eyes lit up with desperate hope as she turned and ran toward where the ring had fallen. She bent her frail body and began digging through the snow bit by bit. A snowflake landed on my heart, stirring a ripple, only to fade into silence once more. From afar, Sophia Miller waved at me. She had come with me to visit my mother's grave. After hesitating for a long time, she looked at me and softly asked, "If she really finds the ring, would you forgive her?" I placed the doll my mother had left behind on her tombstone. The doll was from the time of her passing. Vanessa Brooks had been by her side then, counting down to the new year together. "Vanessa, promise me you'll always stay by Ethan Walker's side." Yes, Vanessa Brooks had replied without the slightest hesitation. Perhaps in that moment, my mother was truly happy. As the memory faded, I curved my lips into a faint smile and replied indifferently, "She won't find the ring." Sophia Miller didn't understand. I gently rubbed the ring hidden in the palm of my hand but gave no further answer. Since that day, I haven't seen Vanessa Brooks again. The snowmen in the yard had long since melted. The next time I saw her was the day I was preparing to leave this city. Emily Watson came to find me and handed me a ring. She said Vanessa Brooks had been diagnosed with stomach cancer some time ago. And yet, during this time, she had been out in the snow searching for that ring. She had already been hospitalized for many days and was asking me to visit her. The ring looked very much like our wedding ring, but both Vanessa Brooks and I knew, it was just a substitute. I refused Emily Watson's request, but asked her to bring something else instead, a piece of paper. Vanessa Brooks opened it eagerly. As she read, her eyes gradually darkened. "Vanessa Brooks, in this life, we owe each other nothing. In the next, may we never meet again. I wish you peace and joy for the rest of your days. If you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel and keeps more videos coming your way. Thank you for listening.